Good evening, and welcome to the Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee meeting for Tuesday, January 18th, 2022. And any potential conflicts of interest with anything on the agenda? If not, we'll move on. Citizen comments. Do we have any citizens who wish to be recognized and make comments? Second call? Third call, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. And that's the minutes of the January 4th, 2022 meeting, the report of personnel actions, bills and payroll. That's the consent agenda. What's your wishes?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Paschal, second by Wetzel to approve. Discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. There are no items removed from the consent agenda. And the next one is a request to recommend City Council approval of Budget Resolution 01-2022, transferring $23,500 from the City Administrator Contingency Account to the Public Facilities Capital Outlay Account. Buildings for replacement of a boiler in City Hall. I would think that's pretty important. Dan, you got this?
Yes, thank you. I think we've talked about this before. We have two boilers in this building. One of them's been giving us a little trouble with some leakage, and we've been able to limp it along a bit. But we did have a CIP project proposed in our most current CIP plan for funding in 2022. During the process of the budget process, we decided rather than try to fund it with long-term debt in 2022, we would try to do the project in 2021 with some available fund balance, most likely to be using contingency. So at the end of the year, when contingency looked to be almost fully available yet, we issued a purchase order for that. And then the council did pass a resolution to carry forward those funds from contingency to be used in 2022 to pay for that boiler project. Now, this budget resolution would amend the 2022 budget to include these funds. The dollar amount is $23,500. The resolution is in your packet, and I would recommend approval of that this evening.
What's your wishes? Motion by Spiro, second by Wetzel to approve the transfer of $23,500 from the city administrator's contingency budget for capital outlay for replacement of the boiler at City Hall. Rebecca, you've got something?
I just was wondering what is going to be left in the contingency account after this.
Well, this won't tap into any of the 2022 contingency, so the full amount is still there, but I don't know what that amount is.
This is a different contingency fund.
Yeah, what Dan said is correct. It's been carried over from 2021 funds. So, but the total contingency is the $400,000 we added at the last minute plus, forgetting if it was 25 or 35 that we had in before that. So in the 425 to 435 range is what we'll have going into this year. Not that we intend to be spending it. We talked about that during the budget process.
Nick?
Dan, what's the condition of the other boiler?
The other one seems to be holding steady. We do have it for replacement in the CIP in 2023. So that'll be a discussion coming up, but for now it's okay.
Okay, because it doesn't seem like this building's that old that these should be going bad.
Correct. You'd normally expect to get 20 years out of a boiler. This building was built in 2004, so we're not quite there. But they have to be maintained, and we think the pH in the boiler water was not maintained. We had some corrosion resulting from that. So again, the second boiler seems to be in good shape, so we'll let it ride for a while.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
Next up is the request to recommend council approval to refill vacant record specialist position at the police department. Presented by Pat Zeps. Pat, what you got?
All right, good evening. We've got a resignation, well, more like a retirement. Chris Stargart will be leaving the department. Her last workday will be February 8th of 2022. So that'll put us at 2 record staff out there. So in your package, you have a description of the job and some of the duties. I did receive approval to replace the position at the January 12th Police and Fire Commission. So with that, I would look for your approval to replace her position as a police record specialist, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Motion by Spiros, second by Paschal. Discussion? Mr. Witzel?
Just out of curiosity, when did she start with the department?
Well, that's an interesting story because she actually started on March 7th of 1994. And then she went down to Wood County for the Shared Dispatch Center for a while. And then she came back to the city on 1/2 of 09, so she's kind of bounced between the two.
Yeah, I worked with her when I was a volunteer, and I wish her the very best in her retirement if you want to pass that on.
Yeah, she's been a great asset.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
All right, thank
Good
you.
luck, Pat. Next up, request to recommend council approval to refill vacant human resources director position presented by Steve Barg. Steve?
Thank you. Well, Jen Raicu has resigned her position as Human Resources Director. Her last day of work will be a month from today on February 18th. We wish her all the best. Jen has done an outstanding job and been a really, truly wonderful and great person to work with over the past 6+ years. This position is responsible for the human resources function of the city, includes employee relations, benefit administration, employee compensation, recruitment, leave management, performance management, policy development, and those types of things. It's a full service HR position, obviously. This person has also worked with me on some special projects, although the time to do HR in 2022 is obviously pretty demanding, and the position is virtually entirely HR based. The recruitment process is in your packet in the memo that Jen and I provided, talking about who will be involved in the interviewing and that type of thing. As far as the job description, it has been modified slightly, but the scope of the position, the main duties are the same. So we're not seeing any reason to send it out to McGrath for further review. So it will remain in the same pay classification that it's been. With that in mind, I would recommend that this body recommend approval of the revised job description and the ability to move forward to refill the position of HR Director.
Mr. President. Wetzel?
Move to approve.
Second by Handler. Discussion. Jen, in your experience, how long is it going to take to find and recruit a candidate?
Well, the hope would be we'll post the position tomorrow. It'd be open for a month, hopefully get a number of candidates that way. Should all go well, the interviews could follow within probably a 1 to 2 week period after that. And then depending on the candidate that you find, they'll either be somewhere between a 2 week and a month notice, I would anticipate. Worst case scenario, if it's someone who has to relocate to the area, that might be a bit longer.
One of the reasons I'm curious about that is actually the person that we need to help replace you is you, which is sort of strange, but that's where we're at. Do you think that it would be necessary for us to pull in McGrath for any work, for any assistance in the interim after your departure?
Steve and I are starting to work through transition plans and have started that as soon as the notice went in. So we've got some internal resources and some potential other resources in the areas. McGrath might be an option if needed. They do provide that type of service.
So what do you mean internal resources? What are you talking about?
What we'll do is we'll probably look at some of the for example, benefits information and look to work with other departments that have ties to the benefits to utilize their services for some of those duties in the interim.
Okay. Steve, do you think we're going to need some help in hand here somewhere?
Yeah, we may need some other help. We've talked about this a little bit, but keep in mind that during the time period between Jen and the next person, we'll be focusing on the base duties of the department. And, we probably won't be taking on some of the things that Jen might have pursued if she was here. That'll have to wait until a new person gets on board in spring.
The base duties are what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, right. No, I know you are. I know you are. And we're having those conversations. Believe me, Jen gave us enough lead time to work through in talking with Amy and talking to other departments how to fill some of these gaps. If this is like what we went through back in 2015 when we hired Jen, I think 3 months is probably the period of time it'll take to get somebody in that office. And that'll be challenging because Jen will have been gone for 2 of those months, but we'll find ways to make it work and get the support we need.
I guess the other question I have is concerning there are some lawsuits that are pending against the city. Not the ones dealing with assessment necessarily, but other ones. are we going to have to deal with those, or are those gonna burden us anytime during the end? It looks like we'll be without you for about 2 months.
Yeah, those go on, and Jen and I are talking about what I need to know, and we're dealing with some open records requests right now related to those very cases that you're talking about. And believe me, we don't see either of those cases that you're thinking of, ending anytime soon. So I imagine I'll probably be placing a call to Jen at some point at her new employment. We'll definitely draw on her if we need information, but, we're working with legal counsel, HAP and others, and we'll keep the ball moving.
Any questions over here? Wetzel?
Considering the current employment situation, do you anticipate replacing this position to be a difficult process?
Well, I don't know, maybe Jen knows more than I do. We haven't advertised for this position for 6 years. It's hard to compare this to the other things that we bring forward to you, like people in various departments. It's maybe a little bit of it's different. So I don't know how hard it might be to find a qualified HR director. I know that when we went through this in 2015, we had some good candidates, and we actually interviewed 4 very good people, of which obviously Jen was, the one who rose to the top. I don't think it's the number of candidates that matters as much as getting a few quality candidates to pick from. That's been some of our experience in recent, other hirings that we've done.
I just am concerned because it seems at this time that there's more desire to work in the private sector, and we're losing some key positions. I don't know for certain everybody's going to the private sector, but it appears that private sector can offer more than what public sector can. And it worries me a little bit that it may take a while to find quality candidates to fill this position.
Well, I think it's been this way for quite a while, where at the director level positions, there's private employment out there that our department heads could get that would pay more than what they get here at the city. That's not new. Hopefully we're competitive with pay and benefits to the best of our ability to get some good candidates.
Thank you.
Anything else? Do we have a motion? Oh, yeah, we do have a motion in a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Suggested items for future agendas. Anybody? Nick, got anything? Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion from Hendler to adjourn, second by Wetzel. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.